What is your reaction to political violence and targeting of elected leaders in the state of Minnesota?
Yeah, there should be absolutely zero tolerance for this at all. I'm happy that the FBI and our national law enforcement agencies are assisting, and I think that they should take over as far as the prosecution is concerned, because we know Minnesota is not known for its hard laws against criminals. So let the feds take over and find these people. It's really sad right now. I mean, there's a lot of people that, why would you serve an elective office if, because of the decisions that you make or the votes that you take, you're going to be a target? I mean, many of us have had death threats. I've had death threats. A lot of my colleagues have had death threats. And what your commentators had said, we don't have individual security details. So we have to take it upon ourselves to have some type of security posture wherever we go, at our homes. There is no place in this country for political violence. It should end now, regardless of the political affiliation. All elected officials should come together and stand against this and call this out. And whoever these people are, once they're captured, the full book of the United States law should be against them. And they should be held accountable for these atrocious acts.
I've got the United States Capitol building over my shoulder. Do you expect the debate when you return to Capitol Hill to turn to what more needs to be done to protect elected officials?
Yeah, probably. I mean, we have the ability to use our campaign funds to augment security. Obviously, at the Capitol, there's security there, but you don't obviously want to spend campaign funds to, have your own security detail. So there's a little bit of discussion there. I don't certainly support taxpayer dollars funding this, but we are in a very trying time in our country right now, where our country is very divided, and we just need to breathe peace into this situation, come together as a nation. Both parties say political violence has no place in our country, and try to tone down the rhetoric on both sides. And hopefully that'll help quell this. But we're at a kind of a tipping point in our country where you're seeing these violent protests across the country and in LA. And I'm so proud of the president and the stance that they are taking, that they're not going to put up with any type of attacks on our law enforcement officers. That sends a very strong signal to criminals that want to attack our law enforcement officers, attack our federal buildings. But I would imagine there's going to be some other conversations about what we can do to ensure that our lawmakers are safe.
And I'm sure when you see Steve Scalise as the House Majority Leader in the Republican conference, it's nothing short of a miracle that he's actually alive. And so we've seen political violence really cut both ways over the past few years.
Oh, there's no doubt that there was many miracles on that field that day, from the fact that he had a security detail there, the fact that had he not been there, all of those Republican members of Congress would have been killed that day, the fact that there was a doctor that was there, that was a congressman that had dealt with trauma before, that served in the military, that could deal with gunshot wounds. There was many miracles that day, and the only person that died on the field that day was the crazy domestic terrorist who tried to kill a bunch of Republican members of Congress. And just recently on the Intelligence Committee, we opened up a report. For 8 years, the FBI held this information classified and secret and didn't tell the American people the politicization of this case, and saying this was a suicide by cop case, which was an absolute lie to the American people. This was a domestic terrorist who went on the field that day to try to kill Republicans. He was a far left leftist that wanted to kill Republicans that day, and you had an FBI that classified it, and it took 8 years for us to get this information. And thanks to Kash Patel and the FBI to release that information, the Intelligence Committee put a report out saying this guy was a domestic terrorist that went to that field that day, had done research specifically to kill Republicans. And thank the Lord that Steve Scalise and all the other people that were shot that day are alive, except for the shooter who came to kill a bunch of Republicans on the field that day.
Have you had contact with any of your lawmaker colleagues since this news broke out of Minnesota today about, concerns about personal safety and security of lawmakers, their families, their loved ones, and more?
Not today, but obviously since the shooting. Like, we just got done with the baseball game. It was this past week. When we have practices, there is a very large police presence and Capitol Police presence there because there has been a shooting. It's these situations like this where you're not necessarily thinking that some guy dressed up as a cop is going to show up at your door. I just had a conversation with my wife about, hey, making sure that if something like this happens, you call 911 and ensure that this law enforcement officer is actually supposed to be where he is. Mm-hmm. I encourage all elected officials to have these conversations in their homes, to have some type of security plan in their homes, to put those security plans in place, working with local law enforcement, because there's going to be other mimicking crimes and criminals that are going to think, oh, this guy got away with it. and was able to kill these individuals, this sounds like a good idea for them as other criminals to take advantage of these type of scenarios. So we need to make sure that everybody's got their head on a pivot, and all of our different families and all of those that are elected officials are prepared for situations like this in their homes.